Hello everybody, welcome back. Demon Warrior Tech here, coming to you guys with another great tutorial. So today we're going to go into a beginner tutorial on how to set up our Docker on Windows or Linux. This will work for either operating system, just the file structures may be a little different, but I'll go over that in a little bit. How to set up our reverse proxy, so Caddy, with our Docker containers or locally hosted items inside our Windows or Linux operating system. So essentially what this is going to do is let us use either DuckDNS or Cloudflare tutorial that I've already made. But instead of setting up Caddy with that, we're going to set it up through our Docker container. Basically, this is a good way also for you people that are having issues with NSSM or auto starting your Docker or Caddy on Windows. This will basically, whenever it boots, Docker will load up and Caddy will run. So we're going to need a couple things for this. We're going to need to build our own Caddy file. I'm sorry, Caddy executable using a couple of documents. So again, I'm going to have my link to my docs website in the tutorial to the exact place you need to be. But let's go into detail real quick on what we need first. So let's pull up a text file, and I'm just going to go over kind of two files you need. We're going to need a file called Dockerfile and a file that's called Docker Compose. And I'll have these in the examples on my docs website as well, just as an FYI. I'm just going to go over this real quick. This is going to pull from the Caddy builder on Docker. We're using the 2.84, which is the latest build. You may have to change this if you're using if you want to use a newer build. You can always check this by going on to here, going on to Dockerhub. Go to Dockerhub. And you can check if you go into the Caddy directory. So actually, I think I have it right here. Yep, here, Caddy. And if you go to the tags and look under Builder, let's find our Builder tag. You can see we're on 2.84. This is the latest one, Builder. So we can see that's the latest one, and we build that. Once we've done that, we basically 2.84 Builder as Builder. Run xcaddy. This is going to build our custom modules, so you need to make sure you have these so we can use either DuckDNS or Cloudflare. It's best to have these two if you're going to be using these two, because this is obviously a free method. This is obviously if you have a custom domain. And then from Caddy 2.84, and then it's going to build it and build our directory where the executables are. So now that we've done that, we're going to save it into you can either make a custom directory or put it anywhere you like. I like to make a folder for it to keep it more concise. Mine I made in Caddy YouTube. You can name it just Caddy. And we have Docker file here, which is this one. And then we have a Docker compose.yml, which is this one. And let's go over the Docker compose. So basically, we have our Docker compose setting up the Caddy from our Docker compose Caddy, which you can see if you go to the Caddy directory. You go into overview. Should show the Caddy compose. Yeah, so here's the example compose that they have, and I'll link this in the description as well. Essentially, I'm gonna go into more depth. So we have our ports, which are used by 80 and 443. We need to make sure our ports are open for that. If you've already followed my tutorial, you can look at that. Otherwise, I may go over in this. We need to make sure C tools. This is going to be, so this part we're going to change to wherever our Caddy directory is. So for me, my Caddy file is located in C, Tools Caddy, Caddy file. So as you can see, if I go to C, Tools Caddy, and here's my Caddy file, it will have my example Caddy. And then I made a Caddy data and Caddy config folder. So you can just do that, make inside that same folders of Caddy, do Caddy config, Caddy data, and then the Caddy site. If we're gonna, so you do C tools config. We also need a site folder. So I have that. As you can see, we got a configs, Caddy, and here's the site folder. Pretty interesting. The serve is only if you're gonna be running like locally hosted websites. So if you're gonna serve a website through the Caddy sites folder, this is where it would go. This isn't needed if you're gonna do just ports and locally hosted ones, but again, it's good to have just in case you need it. Next, we need to change our DNS. Now it's best to use a Cloudflare DNS if you're going to be using Cloudflare. If not, this isn't really needed, but you can use it. In this tutorial, just use it because it's going to allow us to connect to a correct DNS so it can propagate and configure everything correctly through a good DNS. Next, networks, and we're going to name it, this is the name of the network. It's called the Caddy Network. So that's the name of the network that we'll be putting in our compose to connect our apps to it. And then we want to make sure network, Caddy extension network true. That's going to allow to see the Caddy network for all of our other composes. And then volume, this is just creating that same kind of volume for the Caddy data and the Caddy config. So once we have these saved, we can go into our terminal. Actually, we need to do some more setup. So let's actually go into control panel. And this is what I was talking about when I was talking about this off to the side. Hold on. Put it over there. Okay. So in this, we have our Caddy compose, and we're gonna see that we have this DNS is 1.00.1. That is a Cloudflare DNS. Now, to make it connect, we need to go into Control Panel, Network and Internet, Network and Sharing Center, and go into your network Ethernet adapter. So click on this. Properties, Internet Protocol version TCP IPv4 properties, and we're just going to change our preferred DNS. If you don't need this for Cloudflare tunnels, you can remove this. If you're using Cloudflare tunnels like I do for my docs, you will need to leave that. So just make sure either one of these has the network 1.0.0.0 or 1.0.0.1. So just one of these has to have 1.0.0.1. Okay? So make sure that's set. Click OK. Click Close. Click Close. And now that that's done, we can now make sure our ports are open. So to do this, I'm going to go to my my router. So 192.168.0.1, and this may vary depending on your IP. To figure this out, you can just type IP. Clear this actually. You can just do IP config, and it'll tell you under your network connection. This will be your default address. Will be your router. So connect to that. Log in. All right. Once I'm in, I'm going to go to advanced. This may vary, but this is going to be essentially the same tab for all of them. You're going to go into port. I think it's port configuration. No, it's not port configuration. It is under. Oh, mine's under security and firewall and port forwarding. And we're just going to add 2 ports to this. So we're going to add the IP of our local address. So this will be, again, if you do IP config, you'll see that my local IPv4 address is 192.168.0.111. So I've done that, and I have 80 enabled for that. So we'll just do it again. We'll edit it. I can show you what to do. So as you can see, we have it set as the application name is HTTP. Our port is 80. Our forward port is 80. Our protocol is always going to be TCP and scheduled as always. And then you just find the address for our local device. This is mine, so 192.168.0.1. Click Save. Same for HTTPS, so this is going to be 443. Again, application name, HTTPS, port 443, forwarding port 443, forward address 192.168.0.1. Again, this is my local PC. Protocol, TCP, scheduled always. Once that's done, it won't show it's opened until you've run Caddy, but just for kicks and giggles, since I'm already running it, go to portchecker.co, and I'm going to have this blurred out. This is my external IP. Click check. As you see, 80 is open. We do 443, check, and it's open. Now, if I stop Caddy, for example, if I click on, I go to my Caddy installs, cd caddy -yt caddy. Maybe wanna docker. We'll docker compose down, and we'll see if I do that. Now if I check 443, it's now closed. And 80 will be closed as well. Now if I run it again, show you it's opened. Check it again, we'll check 80. It's open. 443, check again. Oop. 443, and it's open. So I'll list this in the description as well. It's also on my site to check your ports. This is a main concern whenever doing things. If your ports are open, obviously it won't work. Once we've done all that, and we've saved the Docker Compose and Docker file, now we need to build our Docker. So we're going to navigate to our location of where our Caddy is, our Docker Compose and Docker Compose or Docker file. So I'm going to do cd c:/, and mine's in tools / caddy, and this can be lowercase or uppercase. I just do, it doesn't matter, it'll register. So now that I'm in that directory, we're going to do this command. Find it real quick. So we're going to do docker compose or docker compose -f docker-compose.yml build, and it's going to build that for us. And yours will have a lot more text from this because this is just because mine's already built. It may take a minute. Once that's done, we're going to create a network. So we're going to create that Caddy network we talked about right here in the Networks tab. So Docker network create caddy-network. And I already have mine, so it won't say that. It'll say create a network. Next, we can Docker compose up it. So we just do this Docker compose up f Docker compose up -d. Mine's already running, but yours should say running. Now, where we pointed our caddy file. So in this caddy file, we have C tools caddy file. Let's open that up. Let me pause this real quick and get a custom one. Hold on. Alrighty, so I did a couple things. So this is going to be for Jellyfin, but this will work for basically any Docker Compose or running app on your PC. So I have like apps running like Jellyfin on here. On my Windows tray, I have Stats TV, I have Plex. I have image somewhere on here. So it doesn't matter if it's running natively or on your Docker Compose. This will work on the entire OS. So for example, this is my image, or this is going to be my image, and we'll make this my Jellyfin. Just make this rows. All right. So I saved this caddy file. So again, we have the domain that we're going to use, our subdomain. This is for Cloudflare. We have our IP address and our port. So again, this is going to be the IP address of the local port or the local IP. So if we do IP config, again, mine is going to be 192.168.0.11. Cloudflare API key, obviously I'm not going to put this in here, but I will put it in when I run the file. And if you're using DuckDNS, this is my DuckDNS, and this is going to be just reverse proxy and the IP, local IP, and port for Jellyfin, which is 8096. Now, before we can make this happen, so for example, my Jellyfin is going to run in Docker. I'm just going to show a simple install that. But my image is running outside, is in Docker as well. But if it's outside, it doesn't matter. You just use the IP and the port and it should work. The only thing we need to change is if it's running in Docker. So if it's running in Docker, we need to go into our Compose and need to add this Caddy network, network : and then the Caddy network to every container inside the Compose. So example, here's my Jellyfin. If I was going to use a Docker Compose for image, pull that up, hold on. Example, here's my image Docker. So as you can see, there's services, there's image machine learning and Redis and database. For each one, I need to put that Caddy network right below the image. You can put it anywhere in here as long as it's linked up with the other ones on this tab. Again, spacing is everything. So if the spacing is incorrect, that's going to cause syntax and it will not work. I put under image every time because it's a little easier, or right under container name, whatever one you would like. As long as it's below container name or in the same line as container name, doesn't matter. Again, This is important because if you don't have this, it won't register as a correct network. So once we have that Caddy network added to every single line of the Docker compose, we can click save, and next we can run the compose. So to do this, we're going to cd into my. Go into here. Hold on. I'm going to show my duck DNS. So we're going to cd into my Jellyfin folder. So cd c, or we can just cd dot dot to go back one directory to our tools. Cd Jellyfin. Do Docker compose up dash d. I already have something on there. Hold on. 1 sec. Let me change the port on that. 1 second. Okay, I stopped my Jellyfin. Now if I run it, it should run. There we go. Oh wait. Hold on. Exclusive. Ooh. Hold on 1 sec. Okay, so two things. You can leave the network mode as host if you're running Jellyfin, but if you're running any other Docker container, I recommend doing network in Caddy network so it registers. But let's just delete this for now and see if it loads. So again, we save that. Now we'll run Docker compose up, and it's pulling now and building, and we'll wait for it to build. And if it builds correct, it should load onto our duck DNS address when we load it up. Now if we go to Demon Warrior Flicks. Oop, hold on, let me check something real quick. So let's go over the Caddy file when we're running it. I make it really easy to make it really simple for everyone if you want to do it. If you're new to this, it's beginner friendly, really simple. So we have our services, Jellyfin, image name, obviously. We want to make sure we have the ports here. You can change this if you want. Just change this to whatever the first port on each one to whatever you want. So let's say I want to use a different port than 8096 internally. Let's say I'm running 2 Jellyfins on the same PC or inside the same network. We can just change this to 69086 or like, I don't know, 9086 if you would like. And then when you load it internally, let's say 192.168.0.111 colon 9086, it'll load Jellyfin on 8096, but it'll be loading through this port internally. So our reverse proxy would be the same. We'd have our reverse proxy, which would look like this. Instead of being 9086, it would be 9086 instead of 8096. Simple as that. Second thing we're going to change is we're going to set up our config. So this is going to be where our configs for our Jellyfin roles. This will be where our cache goes. You can set these to any directory. I'd recommend keeping them, somewhat in order so you can, know where everything is. Next, we have our TV shows. So you can, or your directories. So you can add your shows here. And again, I made this really easy. I just put your media directory folder path here, right here, and you can. I made one for each category. So if you don't want one or you don't want to use one, you can either delete it or just put one of these signs up in front of all of them, except for the read only. That needs to be at the end. That needs to be visible. But if you want to delete them, you can delete them. You can also put these. This basically comments it out, so it's not being used. Next, going down, this is going to be for hardware acceleration. So if we're going to use a NVIDIA GPU, we just set this up with NVIDIA Visible, and it says remove the hashtag at the start of this line to enable HWA. Same for this one, or remove it for HWA for NVIDIA. And you can remove those to enable it. If you have a quick sync or an iGPU, all you need to do is remove this one, and it will enable it. Next, we need a Jellyfin publish server URL. This will be our domain. So whatever domain we're going to use for our Jellyfin, we just name it in here, in this argument right here. Leave the host. This is basically just going to pre-check and make sure everything's good when you run it. This is important. So remove these two hashtags. So these two right here. below to enable Caddy reverse proxy. This is going to enable the Caddy network for this container. You also will need to enable these as well. So for networks, remove the 2 lines below to enable it for our reverse proxy. So we're going to disable this, this, and this. Actually, it's going to be 3. Let me change that real quick. This will all be in the documentation too, but just so you know. And that will allow us to use the Caddy reverse proxy network and bridge it to the Jellyfin container. And then this is also enabled just for NVIDIA drivers. You need to click on delete these below. Obviously, all these below. So enable to enable, fix that. To enable, remove the hashtag for everything below this line for NVIDIA GPUs. This will basically allow NVIDIA GPU to be used. Once you save that, then it should load. And we'll check it out right now. We'll load it up. Okay, so now you can see it loads demonwarriorflix.duckdns.com. Click next on the setup, type in our username. So I'm going to do that real quick. Type in our password or our admin username. I'm going to make my username demonwarriorflix. And my password I'm going to type in. And confirm that password and click next. Next, we're going to add our media. So now if you see in the content type, if we click on our media, let's say I want to add, I don't know, TV shows. And I go to shows and I just rename it TV-shows. And if I click on the plus, now you see our map network drive for shows will show up. All our shows will show up. So I'll pick a show that, just one show. So I want to show how much media I have, which I'm a freaking hoarder over here. But I'll put in my media right now. I'm going to choose one of my favorite ones, actually. We'll just do Zoe 101. Let me just find it. There it is. And I will click OK, and we'll just leave all these default because you can set these up later. Click OK, click Next, click Enable Automatic Port Mapping, and Next, Finish. And as you can see, Demon Warrior Flix now loads. I'll type in my username, type in Demon Warrior Flix, and my password. And there we go. There's my show that I added, and it's as simple as that. Now, just so you know, so next I'm going to show you how to do Cloudflare now. So to do the Cloudflare, it's really simple to do this. All we have to do is set it up so it uses our domain. So I'm going to remind demonwarriorflix.moviesforyou.stream, which is my domain. We're going to load up Cloudflare. Let me log in on the other screen. And once I log in, I'll come back on the main screen. Just give me one moment. Okay. Once we're in here, I'm going to blur out my IP, obviously. Once we're in here, though, you want to set an A name for your domain. Again, this is going to be an external IP, so you just do A type. Domain name as the name, and your IP as the external IP. So you can find this by going to either ipchicken.com or somewhere else. And as you can see, it's running Docker. If you have a dynamic DNS, make sure you have a DNS, which I made a video for already. That's on my YouTube channel. You can check that out later. We're going to set up a CNAME for our new domain. Our subdomain is going to be Demon Warrior Flix, and then the second target is going to be @ so it takes the domain, and then we're going to undo proxying because we're running the proxy through our system, and click Save. And once that's done, we go and restart our Docker for Caddy, and we should see it load now. Just refresh this. And there we go. demonwarriorflix.moviesforyou.stream now loads, and we are all set. Please comment, rate, subscribe. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please put them in the description. Follow our Discord. Also, I set up Buy Me a Coffee, so if you guys like to donate to the cause, help me buy some new PC parts so I can continue doing these amazing tutorials for you guys, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and enjoy.